Hello, I am just so honored that you are here with me today. I'm very excited
Whoop, whoop.
about today's guest. This is a chicky babe that I just know and love, and whose heart, whose tenderness, whose compassion is globally palpable. She's all that and a can of cheese whiz. So let me share her bio with you. Catherine Scherwenka is a successful entrepreneur, globally recognized spiritual, mental health, and wellness guide, a workshop facilitator, and a mentor for the youth who has led thousands of people through transformational experiences, both in person as well as virtually. She focuses on bringing balance and stability into the body, mind, and spirit. And I would just like to welcome you, Catherine. I'm just so honored to sit at this table with you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I'm equally as honored to be here with you, and I was so excited to be invited to this Breathwork Summit because it's totally my jam. So thank you so much.
It is, we are honored. So now that we're all honored and we're all happy, let me ask you what I've been asking the guests. What was the crisis that brought you to do what you're doing? Or what was the crisis you saw in others that motivated you, inspired you to do what you do?
Mm, that's a great question. Thank you. Um, well, I feel like I've lived 9 lives, Kathleen. I grew up in the Midwest, had a nice little upbringing there, and turned 21 and I was bored and I was like I need a change and found myself in Manhattan, New York. Moved there when I was 21 and wanted to climb my way to the top of my profession, which was celebrity hair at the time, and worked my way right into the perfect place to do that and worked my butt off for many, many years, but finally kind of became a woman at the top of that profession, which it always perplexed me that why in an industry where it's mostly women that care about what they look like, men are at the top.
Mm.
And so worked my way to the top and eventually branched off, opened up my own place with another woman. It was kind of our dream come true. And put myself through school at NYU during that time, was really trying to attain the American dream, that everybody talks about and you read about, and they say if you have XYZ, you're going to be happy, right? And I was checking them off the list, was engaged to be married to my Wall Street fiance, had the successful business, thought I was kind of on top of the world, and 9/11 hit.
Mm.
And my breath got taken away. And I couldn't get it back. It was the first time in my life that I had anxiety for long periods of time, where prior to that, I would go through little bouts of anxiety where I couldn't catch my breath, but somehow I'd navigate through it and be okay and move along. When 9/11 happened, I couldn't. It was like every time I'd go into the subway, fear would just grip me. I couldn't catch a deep breath. I was afraid there's going to be chemical warfare. My mind was just kind of rampant with fear, worry, doubt, insecurity, which all kind of co created this mess of anxiety. And I was even a yogini at the time. I mean, my mom was a yogini. So I grew up around yoga and meditation, and I always kind of poo-pooed it, because we kind of do that with whatever our parents do. We kind of reject. And but I still went to yoga because, I thought that was the healthy thing to do, and it was before yoga became so popular, but I did it. And whenever we'd get to the pranayama, to the breathing, I'd be like, I hate this part. It's so boring. And I would lose my focus and my attention. Well, not until you lose it do you realize how much you need it, right? So 9/11 happens, couldn't get my head straight, and ended up going to see a psychiatrist who put me on Klonopin. And I was like, okay, I'm not really into prescription medications, but I guess this is what I got to do to be able to breathe, basically. And within a couple of weeks, everything started to kind of smooth out, my emotions and my anxiety, my depression, my fear. But what I quickly realized was not only did those bad emotions go away, but all the good ones went away. And I'm like, ooh, this isn't very fun. Like now I feel like a robot and there's no emotion at all. And okay, could I go through life like this where everything feels kind of numb? I guess I could, but do I want to? Not really. So within a year after 9/11 happened, I started to I started to come up with the idea of I need to leave this place. And if I leave this place and I get back into nature, I'll be better and that'll heal me. So I went off the Klonopin and broke the news to my business partner, who was devastated because we had built up the most beautiful, successful thing together. And as you know, having a business with somebody is like a marriage. So it literally felt like a divorce. But I was like determined. I'm like, no, I got to give up this life here. New York City's too stressful. This job's too stressful. I'm going to go to Montana. I'm going to move to Montana. The only thing in common with Manhattan and Montana is the letter M, right? And I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to become an acupuncturist. I'm going to go like into the holistic thing and help fix people. So moved to Montana, went back to school. But that anxiety started to creep back and I'm like, there's still something wrong and it's deep. And I wasn't in touch with myself enough to know that it was at a cellular level, like literally this pain and trauma really was in my cells. And my twin sister, I'm an identical twin, and she was always into the more woo-woo guru stuff, and she was really into Native American medicine tradition. And I remember calling her up when I lived in New York City, and I'd be like hysterical, crying, stressed out, whatever, help, I can't do this. And she'd be like, honey, the universe will provide for you. Just open up and listen. And I'd be like, shut up. That is so lame. That is not at all what is going to help me is the universe. I was very type A and I was very mind driven. And I'm like, if I can't figure it out, then nobody's going to figure it out. Right. And my relationship to God, which honestly, I think our breath is God, was during that time in New York City only when I was in desperate situations would I call out to God. Really desperate, like something horrible had happened, or I got in a fight with somebody, or I did something that I regretted, then I'd be on my knees begging God, please, please help me, help me. But after that, it was like, I don't know who God is. And back to my sister. So she was into the woo-woo guru stuff. I was into the mind and the intellect and figuring everything out on my own. And she called me up one day when I was in Montana and she said, I just found out I have a tumor in my eye. And I'm like, a tumor? And we're 33 years old. And she's like, yeah, and they said it's very rare. They don't know what it is. And I have to go in Monday morning for surgery. And she's a single mom, worked in corporate. So I said, I'll be on the next flight out to San Francisco to help you. Flew out there, had her surgery. But before she went in for surgery, the night before, she went to this thing called Diksha. And again, I'm like, what? What are you doing? Like this woo woo guru stuff. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go. My friend who's a healer wants to take me. And she comes back and she walks into the apartment, and I'm like, what happened to you? And she's glowing and sparkling. And she's like, I don't know. These people, we did like a breathing meditation. And then they put their hands on my head, and I started laughing. And I, I feel amazing. And I'm like, I don't trust that. I don't, something's wrong with that. So the next morning she goes in for surgery. Everything goes unbelievably well. It was a very rare tumor that she had, but it was benign. I go back to Montana and I'm still dealing with this anxiety. I'm still dealing with the unrest. I'm still feeling like I don't belong on this planet. What's the point of existing? Why are we here? I was asking those existential questions that can't be answered, right? That probably everyone listening to this, you've probably asked those questions at some point. And I was suffering. And 3 months later, my twin sister tells me she's going to India. And I'm like, what? Now you're really freaking me out. Like, you're going to go get involved in some cult. They're going to brainwash you. And I'm going to have to be here to fix you because that's what I do. I'm the caretaker. So I'm like, okay, I'll come take care of your son again while you go off to India. And she goes off to India and comes back, and we pick her up at the airport. She did a 21-day silent retreat. And we pick her up at the airport, and she walks out of baggage claim, and I'm like, what the heck happened to you? And she's glowing, and she's like floating off the ground. And she again kind of shakes her head and says, can't really explain it. It's this energy, it's a lot of breath work, it's really getting to know yourself on a deeper level. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here and observe because I'm really skeptical and make sure that you're not brainwashed or broken. So I watched her literally for the next couple months, and instead of what I thought was going to happen, the opposite happened. And her relationships began to flourish. Her self acceptance and self love began to grow. Her fears began to not disappear, because I think fear is a natural thing that we have, especially biological fear, like to protect ourselves. If a snake comes in the room, you run. But psychological fear, I think, is what we make up in the mind and what creates a lot of suffering. And she was starting to be able to deal with that from a very practical level and with a lot of awareness. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to India. So 5 months later, I found myself at the academy in India for this 21-day silent retreat. And honest to God, Kathleen, all I remember is being gripped in fear, judgment, like literally in the meditation hall with myself curled up in a ball, watching all these people who would like prostrate and, do different funky breathing techniques that I would sit there and cringe and be like, what are you doing? That is so weird. Why are you doing that? All of this inside my head. And yet by the end of that 21 days, I felt like I'd never felt in my life. At that time, could I attribute it to breath work? No. I wasn't that aware. And then, since that was in 2004, I got back and I was like, this is the real deal. The people that I met that run that academy, I've never met humans like that on the planet. And their whole reality is based on breath work, which helps to grow our awareness. And when our awareness expands, we naturally drop into freedom, internal freedom. Whenever we talk about freedom, people think free from external things. I'm talking freedom from the chains, the prisons that we create inside ourselves, that freedom. And, there's a lot in between there. I lived in India for 3 years, volunteering from 2010 to 2013, thinking that I wanted to become a monk. So I sold everything I had. again, kind of slipping into yet another conditioning that we have around, if I'm going to be a spiritual being, I have to renounce and live simply, right? That's such an old one.
Yeah.
And so I went from being very prosperous and successful to renouncing everything and giving it all up, thinking I wanted to become a monk. And then after being there for 3 years, volunteering, helping thousands of people come through the academy, wearing a million different hats, from being the administrator to making announcements to being a nurse and a doctor and taking people to the hospital. And it was the hardest 3 years of my life, but I grew the most in those 3 years. It was such a gift. But I was shown very clearly that my work was out here with people, and not to be meditating in a cave, and to be out here interacting with folks and relating to people and helping them find their breath, right? Helping them find their version of God, whatever that might be. And so since 2013, that's what I've been doing. I traveled around the world teaching for 5 years, didn't live anywhere, still kind of resisting um, the norm, or having a house and things. And I really just didn't want to slip back into what I had when I was in New York. I think for a lot of reasons. I think in New York, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I
Mm.
wanted all that material, external stuff so that I would gain significance and attention and respect. And now, girlfriend, it's all about having fun with the material stuff. I love it. It's playful. You get to dress up. You get to do fun things with your hair. It's like a playground. Life is like a playground. And in 2017, one of my companies was called into Las Vegas after the 1 October shooting at Mandalay Bay, and they asked they asked us to come in and guide and facilitate trauma meditation, breath work for the first responders from that tragedy. Super honored, and we came in thinking it was going to be for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and here I am 3.5 years later. I've fallen in love with somebody. We live together. I've been running my own business online since 2013, so the COVID thing hasn't really affected me in that regard.
Mhm.
But I've gotten busier than ever because of COVID. And the reason being is because we're all feeling, we can't escape as easily as we were able to with our external playmates, whatever that might be: sex, drugs, and rock and roll, clothing, electronics, whatever it is, whatever your jam is. And we're all kind of being forced to come in. And for a lot of us, that coming in can make you feel anxious,
Yeah.
which again takes me back to the breath. And it's why I do what I do. It's why I believe so much in breath work, is because it is something that you have control of, you always have access to, and all you have to do is shut that up for a second, a slight second, to say, no, I'm not going to listen to that right now. I'm going to actually do a practice with my breath that is going to, like, scientifically take care of your nervous system and bring you back into a state of calm and connection. The hardest part is stopping.
And and thank you so much for sharing your story so eloquently and with such vulnerability. And as you said, with COVID, the world is just so different. It's recreating itself every nanosecond and every breath, really. Every inhale, every exhale, there's a new. And there may be many out here who, like you said, when your mom introduced you to yoga and you got to the breathing part, you were like, yawn, who cares? I don't want to do this. But there may be someone now who's thinking, you know, is this chick reality based? How is my breath going to help me with what my physical eyes are observing? how does, in your experience, how would you interact with that person to share with them and the breath, and to know that your breath, you're happy, what is it you say, happy, healthy, and holy human being, because that person's like click 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 clang, shut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's kind of it has to be a gentle unfolding, right? Because we there's so many variables that go into why we end up like this, right? Trauma, hurt, pain, fear, and the more closed in we are and contracted, the harder it is to take that deep breath, right? And if you can't take a deep breath, I guarantee you're not going to be happy,
Hmm.
because all of it is connected. Your breath is connected to your nervous system. Your nervous system totally operates your brain. Your brain operates your emotions, your thoughts. If you're in a contracted, tight state, everything is going to feel you're gonna be in a suffering, disconnected place, right? When you are able to take some awareness with your breath, it automatically starts to soften and expand you and nourish that nervous system, which then nourishes a bunch of other stuff happening in your body and in your brain, which not only opens you back up to the ability to feel connected to yourself, but to the other and to a much greater intelligence that makes 3,000 fish swarm in a beautiful formation under the ocean. Whatever does that, you tell me, I don't know what that is. Whatever does that, you connect to that greater intelligence and your life becomes happy, healthy, and holy. And, oh, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. And
It's so connected to your physical health too. So if you're in that contracted, tight, scared, fearful place where you don't even know where to go, your physical body is in survival mode. It literally is doing what it can to survive. It's not in a thriving mode. When your body's in survival, all systems, it's like all hands are on deck to just get you through what you got to get through to survive. And eventually, if you don't start to nourish that nervous system using your breath, things will start to shut down. We have more names for stuff than we ever have before in human existence. Why? Because people are shut down. We're shut down. Why are we shut down, Kathleen? Okay, if you're like this and somebody tells you to start breathing, for a lot of us, when you start to take some deep breaths, what's going to happen? Some serious emotion might start coming out. You might start crying. You might all of a sudden feel some rage. And because we're a culture that's so not accustomed to dealing with that stuff, handling it in a loving, kind, compassionate way, we're taught to just kind of shut it down, stuff it down, keep going, put the smile on your face. I'm good, I'm positive, everything's great. BS, it's great. What are you feeling right now inside? You're not feeling good. Can we like breathe into that and let whatever is in there come out? But the more closed off you are, the harder it is to get there because it feels like you're going to be the Tasmanian devil and you're just going to spin out and never come back. But it doesn't happen, Kathleen. You and I both know that. It doesn't happen. So you need
firsthand.
someone to help you, to guide you through it, to do it lovingly and gingerly, to slowly unwrap whatever that wound up tight thing is.
And when you speak about being wrapped up and tight, you speak about something, the triad. How does the breath support a person to release the tightness? And forgive me for packing a question on top of the question, but would you please define for you what a triad is and how the breath.
The triangle. The triangle is your breath, your mind, your body. I like to interchange the breath sometimes with the word God, Kundalini, if you've heard the word Kundalini, which is just that latent, powerful energy that resides at the base of our spine, that all of us have access to. The quickest, easiest way to access it is your breath. So, and why do we want to access Kundalini energy? Because it nourishes all the systems in our body, up and down our spinal cord, into our brain. It's our nervous system. It's literally kind of the foundation from which everything else can spring and expand out from. So when I speak of this triad, if our mind is in a grip, right? It's in that loop, the tape that keeps looping, looping, looping. It's telling you the same story. Okay? You were just at work, you and your boss got into a fight, you felt like your boss didn't listen to you, didn't understand what you're trying to say. Now you've gone home and that story is on repeat over and over and over. The scenario goes a million different ways. I should have said this. He should have said that. I shouldn't have. It's just incessant. So when your mind is doing that, when it's repetitive, compulsive, and destructive, how do we change that? Our breath. But it's the hardest thing to remember because we're not trained to do that. The neural pathways in our brain right now are trained to react. They're trained to fight. They're trained to freeze. They're trained to flight, to run away, right? We're not trained to sit down and start to take inventory of what's happening inside my body. What am I feeling right now? What's the physical sensation I'm feeling in my body? No, that's not how we're trained. But that's what breath work does. Because as soon as you catch the mind in the repetitive, destructive, compulsive thinking, you're going to say, I think I'm bigger than the mind. That Kundalini energy, that's bigger than the mind. The mind is limiting, it's small, it wants to keep you small, it wants to be right, it wants finality. As soon as you can catch that mind, stop, sit down, close your eyes. Don't even close your eyes if you don't want to, and start to pay attention to what's happening to your breath. I guarantee your breath will probably be shallow, tight, contracted. You won't feel like your breath's going much further than right here.
Yeah.
That's why when we're triggered or challenged, we feel tightness in our throat, tightness in our chest, we feel sick to our stomach. Why? Because there's no breath going in there. We need to bring the breath down. Bringing that breath down expands everything out. When everything gets expanded out, there's that connection. So this triad, it's helpful to use as a tool. So if my breath feels shallow, what is happening to my mind and what am I feeling in my body?
Yeah.
If my mind is repetitive, destructive, compulsive, what is my breath doing? How does my body feel? If my body is aching, tight, I have a sore knee, stop. What's happening in my mind? What's happening in my breath? They're all connected. They're all related. So that's the triad. It's what I use a lot in my practice with clients is it's the art of awareness and using either your mind to cultivate it, your breath to cultivate it, or your physical body.
And truly, from what you've just shared, it will take you from this to this, because as you were speaking, I felt myself just relaxing a little bit. It also supports you to really come present, because you have to be present to think about what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my body, which brings the awareness to your breath as you demonstrated. Yeah, that's it. It really does bring you present and cultivates peace. I know that you have written not one but two books. I would love for you in this right now moment, I know that I'm putting you on the spot, but in this right now moment, share what comes forward that you would like to share with the viewers from either one of your books.
Thank you, Kathleen. Writing two books is a huge process in itself. Um, it's phenomenal. I'd highly recommend it for anyone if you're one of those people like I was that always wanted to write one. Um, it's a beautiful process. The first book, PTSD and a Drug-Free Me, was inspired by the story I shared with you earlier. It was I wanted I wanted other people that had suffered from trauma, from PTSD, who were put on prescription medication, who tried all the different therapies and none of it worked. I wanted to reach those people who were ready to commit and try something different. And in that book, I put together an 8-week stable process that creates stability from inside yourself, because everything we need to know is already inside of us.
Mm.
But when we are contracted and tight, how can you listen? How can you pay attention to the wisdom that's inside? Everything you need is in there. But we're such an external focused culture, right? We just pop a pill, we go eat some food, we have so many things out here that can keep us humming along,
Yeah.
right? But not at optimal speed, not being the best that we can possibly be in the world. And so that book, I was really passionate about writing that book to reach those people that were tired and done and wanting to kind of take control back, take their power back, and build it up from the inside out. And so there's a lot of practices that I have them do, and a lot of it is based around building up your nervous system. Again, we do that through the breath. And when you have a strong nervous system, you can do anything. You become one of those people that walks into the room and people are like, who's that? You don't
Yeah.
say a word. I would share that PTSD and a Drug-Free Me is written to give you your power back, to
Mm.
find yourself again, to build your inner muscles. We focus so much on the external muscles. It's purely for you to build up your inner muscles so that you can be the best that you want to be in the world and be who you're meant to be in the world. So and it brings you inner peace, which is my second book. But it's when you have that stability and strength inside yourself, peace is a natural um, side effect, I guess you would say.
And that's very true, because all that you've shared with us thus far, you do have to acknowledge, even coming back to your triad, you do have to acknowledge what's going on in the mind and the body, the PTSD. And yes, when you acknowledge that, as you've shared with us, the inner peace. So you guys just got 2 books. Go get them. All of us, though, Catherine, myself included, I will definitely say me, has trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
And it will run our lives. So yeah, face it, and then the path to inner peace, the triad, definitely you will unfurl. So beautiful.
Mm.
So beautiful. I really appreciate that. And this is really a good place too for you to share with our viewers one of your delightful breath work
Oh, all right, let's do it.
practices.
That
Yes.
was that was a hard thing to choose, I got to tell you, because there's so many different things that we could do to gain a different effect. And for some of us, we need more calming energy, and others of us need more energizing. And the breath can do both. It's amazing.
And that's why you will reach out to her and after this session.
All right.
And
So,
that's beautiful too, because Catherine does have stay until the end, because there is something that she's going to share with you. So go
okay.
ahead. I'm
All
ready.
right. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of long, deep breathing to begin with, and then I want to take us into what's called fists of anger,
Mm.
which it's meant to be invigorating and to kind of stir things up, to clear things out, right? We don't want stuff to get stuck inside of us, and we're so good at pushing down our emotions The more we push down our emotions, somebody once said to me, it's like burying them alive. And when we bury those emotions alive, it creates this internal disturbance that is anxiety. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and then we'll drop in. The fists of anger, you're going to lightly wrap your fingers around your thumb. It's a really loose fist. And you're going to go over your head like this. So it's up and back, up and back, up and back. And the breathing is through a rounded mouth, and it's powerful. It's your eyes will be closed. You'll be focused right between your eyebrows. And I'll guide you through the whole thing, but I just wanted to kind of show you before we drop in. So before we do fists of anger, this exercise, if you have heart condition or if you're pregnant, I'm going to ask you to do long, deep breathing. You can still do the movement, but just do long, deep breathing in and out through your nose. And then for those of us that don't have heart condition or are not pregnant, we're going to breathe through the mouth. And our intention is to clear out the muck so that we can really settle into our true authenticity, which is inner peace. That's your truth. That's who you were before all the trauma, the hurt, the pain, all the stuff that's gotten piled on top of it. So sitting tall, feeling your sit bones beneath you, feeling your feet planted on the floor if you're sitting in a chair, if you're sitting cross-legged, just wiggling your toes, feeling your feet. And I always like to visualize my tailbone being grounded and connected to whatever it is I'm sitting on, as well as Mother Earth. Mother Earth has such big, powerful energy. So feeling your sit bones get heavy as you anchor into the ground. And then using your awareness from your tailbone, you're going to slowly move up the midline of your body, each vertebrae with your awareness as if you're looking at your vertebrae. And as you look at each one, it like pings your vertebrae and it wakes it up and it lifts and elongates each vertebrae in your spine, which naturally, organically lifts your torso, opens your chest, widens your collarbone, lifts your chin slightly. That awareness continues moving up through the middle of your neck, the middle of your head, shooting out the top of your head into the sky. We need to root in order to rise. So visualizing that midline power center. Palms are face down on your thighs. And we're just going to do 3 long, deep, conscious breaths in and out through the nose. And this sounds easy, but you'll be surprised how long you'll be able to focus on your breath moving in and out of the nose, into the body, before the mind takes you somewhere. It's a game. It's like a cat and mouse game. How long can I keep my awareness on my breath, the sensations it creates in the body, before the mind takes me away in some story? All right? And you're just going to keep catching the mind, coming back to the breath. So we're going to exhale out all your breath. And then you're going to inhale slowly through the nose, feeling the air come in through the nostrils, down the back of your throat, into your lungs, maybe down into your belly, feeling your belly expand. As you slowly begin to exhale, softening the belly, feeling as if you're watching that breath moving up, back out through your lungs, your throat, out your nose. And then do it again. Inhale deeply. Taking as much air in as you can, and then you're going to slow roll the exhale. Feeling that warm air as it exits. And then one more time, deep breath in. And then slow exhale out. And now I want you to shift your awareness to your thoughts. And I want you to put a cloud right in front of your forehead. And I want you to put your thoughts, your thinking, right inside that cloud. And I want you to observe the thoughts like you're watching a slideshow. Watch them come, watch them go. Keep watching your thinking as if you're a spectator, a witness. Remembering that our mind was made to think. But if we can create a slight little gap of separation between you and the thinking, that's why you're putting it in that cloud, to just observe. Where does my mind have me? In the past or the future? And then visualizing a tiny little golden flame of light right between your eyebrows, like the flame of a candle. And visualizing, feeling, or thinking that little flame from the center of your eyebrows, slowly, gently moving back into the center of your brain. Just hovering there, creating stillness, calm, connection. And then moving into the fist of anger, we're going to lightly wrap our fingers around our thumb. We're going to breathe in and out through a rounded mouth. Your eyes remain closed and your gaze is right between your eyebrows. So keep your focus there again. And we're going to begin breathing, moving our arms back, up over our head and around. It's like you're clearing out your space, thinking about anything in your life right now in this moment that's challenging, aggravating, frustrating, that you want to clear out. Keep going. Stay with the breath. Keep the arms moving. Visualize clearing out all the cobwebs. You're hitting the reset button right now. Now inhale deeply and hold the breath. Palms face down on the thighs. Hold your breath. And you're going to forcefully exhale through a rounded mouth. Inhale again deeply. Hold the breath. Forcefully exhale through a rounded mouth. One more time. Deep breath in. Hold it. Visualize all that pranic energy, that breath, that vibrancy permeating all your cells in your body, lighting everything up. Forcefully exhale. Keep the eyes closed. Meditate. Feel. Experience what's happening in the body. Notice if the mind has become more quiet. And then gently coming back to the space. Opening your eyes when you're ready. Here. Oh, I can't hear you, Kathleen.
Oh, that's good to know. Because I didn't want my bracelets to just keep going. I muted myself. So nice. Really, really, really good. I feel really clear, to be totally transparent. I haven't been feeling all that well today. And that just, I'm feeling the best I've felt all day today. So thank
I'm
you.
so glad. You're
That was
welcome.
really delicious. Oh my goodness. I could sit here and speak with my sister friend absolutely positively all the day long. Catherine, please share with everyone how they can get in touch with you, and find out about your upcoming experiences. Please share.
You can email me at info@katherinescherwenka.com. You can check out my website, which is www.katherinescherwenka.com. And I run, like, all my work is done online, obviously with COVID, but even before COVID happened, I was doing everything on Zoom. So I work one-on-one with people, doing that 8-week stable process, bringing you back home. And then I also am running a 6-month program. It's a group program that works on the 6 koshas, the different bodies. So from your physical body, all the different layers that extend out beyond, really working on healing and bringing all that back into health and vitality. 2 really beautiful programs.
And would you again share the titles of your books?
The first book is PTSD and a Drug-Free Me. It's getting real about handling trauma without having to abuse drugs, alcohol, prescription medications. I'm not against any of that stuff. I mean, we all have a glass of wine once in a while, and if you need prescription meds for something, I'm all for it. It's when we become dependent on it, then it becomes a problem. Or if you're like me and it numbed you out and you weren't into that anymore, then let's figure it out. The second one is Inner Peace, the craft of using meditation as medication.
Mm.
So that book I love, and I haven't even really launched it. I'm about to launch it, but it's taking you through the different layers, the different koshas, from the physical out into the more subtle layers and how to heal that from hurt, pain, and trauma.
Mm.
So,
Wonderful. Well, viewers, thank you so much. And Catherine, just
mm,
thank you. Just honored, really, really honored to sit at the table with you. And I'd love for you to leave the viewers with some breath filled words. So you have the last
mm.
word.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for having me as a speaker. Nothing brings me more joy than to turn people on to their breath. Your breath is where the magic's at. It's what I teach in my classes, my yoga, my meditations. Breath is where it's at, and it's all yours, and you get to do with it what you want. So maybe start doing something different to make your life feel different.
Mm.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Yeah. Big heart.